is on the topic Final Solutions by Mahesh Dattani. And the topic is based on harsh social realities. We can say that this very topic on the harsh social reality is very important because it is a topic which requires a great deal of discussion. Premature marriages and its impression. Mahesh Dattani is a famous Indian dramatist with versatile themes prevailing in contemporary modern Indian society. He is the first Indian writer to play to receive the prestigious Sahitya Academy Award for his play Final Solution, where he dealt with the concept of communal conflict in India. As the family is the key element in Dattani's play's Final Solution, furnished a typical Indian Orthodox Hindu family with conservative Indian culture. Though the books portray the consequences of communal rights in an ordinary family, Dattani also portrays hidden issues of all categories of people from childhood to old age. Victimization of children in Indian patriarchal culture is visualized through the character of Daksha, who undergoes affliction and termination after becoming the wife of Hari at the age of 15. Even though there are stern laws against child marriages, it has been spotted from various parts of India. Some parents arrange premature marriages to get rid of the burden of their girl children to get married. So here we will focus on the agonies and sufferings of girl children who tend to lose their self-respect and identity due to the aftermath of premature marriages. Children are the most enthusiastic and energetic community who come out with colorful dreams and wishes for their future. Unfortunately, their future is not in their hands, but it will be decided by their parents, elders in the family. Patriarchy shows it is a bitter face not only to the women but also to the children of India in pathetic manners. Especially girl children are born victims of patriarchy, and their ambitions are shattered as they are married off once they after attaining puberty. Even this is conspicuous today in this age we live. They are abused physically, verbally, and even emotionally by their husbands and in-laws at a young age. As they are fragile to digest such abuse from the family, they remain submissive and quit all their ambitions and wishes. They become sheer dependents of the elders and in-laws at being responsible in their studies and careers. In his play, Mahesh Dattani, an Indian actor and playwright, has highlighted almost all the prevailing social issues like child sex abuse, gay relationship, and transgender. Dattani receives the Sahitya Academy Award for his play Final Solution because his play is distinctively different from such type of gender literature. He represents the theme of child marriage and explains how children undergo unwanted miseries at a tender age. Even though the play's main theme is communalism, this paper focuses, or what we'll be discussing here now focuses that main theme of premature marriages that prevent children from commemorating their achievements, ambition, and happiness at a very young age. Age is an important factor that makes children dependent on all their needs. In the Indian context, parents are the protectors for children and sons and protect older people. This dependence results in depression and affects the victims physically, mentally, and psychologically. Children under 18 are the sufferers of the despotism, especially in Indian society, since they are helpless and dependent. They are muted in the name of obedience, and their right to speech is denied, even on their behalf. Moreover, before understanding the meaning of life, they have been afflicted and abused by cultural hegemony, parental authority, and superstitious beliefs. Female infanticide, child marriages, gender discriminations are some customs that forcefully throw Indian children into darkness. Some of them are banned, but they still show their illegal faces in the country's rural and even urban parts. The bitterness of these customs will demolish the entire happiness of children and make them submissive. Their life becomes colorless, meaningless, speechless, and always puts them into the world of agony and pain. The Dattanis protagonist, Daksha, who lives in anguish as a consequence of one of such called premature marriages. As India's concerned, child marriages were legalized and practiced more commonly many decades ago. Children are subjected to sexual abuse and compelled to live as a typical housewife and obedient daughter in law who carries all the responsibilities of the family. They became mothers at a very young age, and it was an extra burden on their heads. They have crossed physical abuse, verbal abuse, and mental abuse in their childhood itself. So, the pathetic plight of child marriage was many children lost their life by becoming widows before crossing their early childhood. Education was denied to them, and they were tortured and compelled to be in widow attire. In Bengali, we say than pore ghora. Remarriages were also prohibited during that period, and the entire life of those children got ruined. Childhood innocence was snatched away from them. Youthful enlightenment was rejected, and all their physical and emotional needs after attaining the youth were neglected. They had seen, they had been seen as a bad omen by others, which led to emotional pain till their death. No one was there to take care of them during her old age. Life was very bitter, and they lived in utmost darkness. So the miserable life of girl children changes slightly after many years as education is insisted for girl children. After the British invasion, education was possible for children, and slowly child marriages got reduced. During the 1940s, another form of child marriage prevails in India, marrying of their daughters right after attaining puberty. It is also a prime factor for child sex abuse, but it was silenced because no one was there to question it at all, practice it. The evolution of culture marked its foot to stop child marriages at one point. The age of 18 was fixed as the right age of marriage for a girl. By analyzing various research on child marriages, it was concluded that they would attain their physical and mental fitness only at the age of 21. Today, awareness has been given to educate their girl children and marry off their 21, marry off after 21. But waiting till the age of 21 is a heavy burden for most parents, and they marry off their girl children once they complete their schooling after the completion of 18 years. So below 18 marriages are considered crimes and severe punishments are given to the offenders. Today the Indian government has declared strict laws like POSCO to protect girl children from getting married and abused before the age of 18. The offender who marries the child and the children and the parents who arrange for their marriage is summoned to jail, but still it is evident from the very everyday news that child marriages are happening illegally. for various reasons in many parts of the country. Mahesh Dattanis sketches the character Daksha as a 15-year-old girl, married girl, to make the people aware of the afflictions faced by the child marriage victim, especially in Indian culture. The protagonist Hardika, Hardika, is introduced as the grandmother of Gandhi's family, reading her post from the day she married and settled in her in-laws' house at the age of 15. The diary shows it was 40 years back, and the date was 31st March 1948. Daksha appears as the wife of Hari in an Orthodox Hindu family. Her name was changed to Hardika to match her husband Hari, Hari, whom she says her Lord and Master. It is evident from her diary that she was unhappy about her wedding because her husband and in laws have not given her the least attention. As a young girl, Daksha has colorful dreams about her life at present and future. Beyond the familial bonding, she has a fascination with music and sounds. Her admiration for songs of Nur Jahan, a Muslim singer from her early childhood, was rejected because she is married and in the name of communal hatred. Helplessness protected her from protesting against the limitations of her rights to hear and sing the songs of a favorite singer. Once on occasion, Daksha listens to the song from Zarina's house during travel and enjoys murmuring the song until she reaches the house. But suddenly, after seeing her father in law, she stopped singing the song and entered the house, dropping all her happiness outside. Her family treated her as a typical Indian daughter in law. So, as all her intrigues are denied, she has undergone verbal abuse by her family members. Once she sings a singing song to her husband. Even though she is married, she is young and childish to bear such abuse from her in laws. Without considering her age, the family expected her to be a perfect housewife, being compliant and doing all the household chores. Daksha adheres to all the family values directed by her husband and remains passive as she was taught to be submissive in early childhood. Catherine Thankama, Thankama, opines about the conditioning of girl children as a girl, she is under the protection of her father, mother, brother. After marriage, her husband is a lord and master, and in old age, her son becomes a protector. As part of the gender differences emphasized from childhood, the girl is taught to believe in the importance of family values, values which are presumed to be a responsibility and not the male's. Final solution brings evidence to Daksha's experience of verbal abuse two times, once by her husband and once by her in laws. Her in laws scolded her for singing film songs to Hari. As physical violence hurts the body, verbal abuse gets deep into the mind and mute the victim from further doing. After the scolding of her in laws, Daksha stopped singing film songs in front of their family members, but she did it stealthily without their knowledge. Once she listened to her favorite song in the cab and started murmuring the song till she saw her father in law. Secondly, she was abused verbally by her husband for asking questions about Zarina's problem. She wanted to help Zarina's father by offering a loan for him to start his business again. But as a real culprit of burning their shop, Hari became angry. He scolded her with unutterable words, which prevented her from speaking about that issue again, but tempted her to go in person to find out the original problem between Zarina's father and her family. This incident enraged Hari and moved him to harm her, using a weapon of physical violence. Daksha was psychologically affected by the words used by her husband and in laws, and so that she is ashamed of uttering those words to the readers. Words have a power on two sides to encourage and discourage a person. Still, the abusive words of by the in-laws and husband discourage the victims and result in behavioral changes. Daksha also got disappointed by the abusive words and created a kind of self-pity in her. She loses her self-respect, intellectual identity, and individuality. She cannot come out of that until her old age, and her life turns gloomy and unhappy. Exposure to sexual violence, sexual intercourse, is the prime expectation from a dutiful wife. Whether she is mature or not, but that is to be taken for granted. And it is this that makes the only difference to reject her as a woman who is being every time earmarked as something unexpected from her. So you say, from this point of view, we have to remember what child marriages directly pave the way to serious offenses of sexual violence, and girls are not allowed to escape from that. If she is married, she must abide by with her husband and bear children for him in this Indian scenario. She experiences no happiness but only pains through a sexual relationship. Daksha indulged in sexual relationship with her husband sometimes to please him without any involvement. When Hari was enraged by Daksha's interference of Zarina's father's problem, she drapes the brocade dupatta around her to please him. And she admits, what does she say? We were silent for a very long time and I forgot about Zarina's problems. I was too confused, and yet I wanted to please Hari. I couldn't bear his silent anger. I took out the brocade dupatta which Zarina's mother had embroidered for me with golden chumkis. I draped it around me like how I imagined the Nach girls in the Mughal courts would wear them. Hari smiled while he continued chewing on his sipari. He beckoned me to lie beside him on the bed, and I did, and my cheeks went red again. Not to shame, but with anger at myself. So what we find here is helplessness, idleness, and need for love, made by made her submit to him even though she was not interested. This shows the pathetic plight of girls who submitted themselves voluntarily for the erotic need of the husband. Multani says, when she drapes the dupatta brocaded by Zarina's mother, she performs his Muslim femininity and becomes the erotically charged other for her husband, Hari. He asks her to lie beside her on the bed, which she does politely, but seething with mute anger. Her body and mind are not mature enough to prepare for sexual intercourse, as she has not crossed the age of 18. It is also observed that a girl will be physically and mentally prepared for marriage only at the age of 21. At 15, Daksha was engaged in a sexual relationship and became mother for Ramnik, despite her mental pressures. Now, urge for educational rights and modernity is another point in question. Education will be denied to girls who get married as they are expected to be good housewives and good moms. Even nowadays, some educated girls are restricted from their jobs by their prejudiced husband. Daksha maintains silence and does not demand her urge for education. She does not depend anything in her family as she is considered too young to convey her thoughts or opinion to the family. Instead, of being affectionate, loving, and responsible. She was scared to speak with them. Moreover, her interest in studies and youthful enlightenment was also rebuffed as she became the wife of Hari and no longer a child. Daksha's passion for college is revealed by her thought of denying her husband's decision to stop his studies at college and join his father's business. She loves collecting the stories of youngsters and their happenings in Hari when he goes to college. Expression of modernity is felt by her. Hatred by traditional, typical Indian husbands like her father-in-law. He has the habit of rebuking her wives cooking before his food and sitting on the chair chewing pan and doing nothing. To protect the husband from Hari from that, she wants him to continue his education. She says, I must talk to him and tell him to enjoy himself while he is in college. Not that the world is going to miss a great scholar, but at least I can get some news from him about what is happening with young people nowadays. There must be someone who is thinking about the country's future. They can't all be lazy and brainless like Hari. That was what she said in the book. Children and domestic violence is a very common offense in Indian families. Not only for women but also for children. Normally in India, children are trained to be obedient to parents and elders. As married children are concerned, they are considered only wives. They are expected to be obedient to their husbands. If they break the codes of the family, they will be punished violently, like beating, holding with the hair, etc. Daksha goes to Zarina's house by saying some reasons to their in laws or without their knowledge, sometimes in the afternoon while her mother in law was sleeping, and sometimes by saying that she needed to be embroidery on her dress. Kanta told her husband that she had eaten food from Zarina's house, and for that particular reason she was beaten up rudely by Hari. She cries, ah, don't hit me. Angry, don't do that. I swear I didn't eat anything. Ah, stop that. Stop it. All right, I won't go there again. Please leave me alone. Crying, she says. Please stop. She is on the floor, sobbing. Her physical pain made her admit that she wouldn't be going there again. She felt that she had lost her respect in the eyes of her husband. Daksha needed a husband and in laws to be her friends, but they were indifferent to her. So Daksha's scream is the scream of every girl child who got married at young age, facing termination by the in-laws. There was always a longing for liberty. Daksha did not have the liberation to speak whatever she thought and go wherever she wanted. She recollects the physical violence she had undergone at a young age. For going to Zarina's house and feels that soon Smita, her granddaughter, is more liberated from her than her. Her search for self-respect, freedom, everything ends in vain. Subhash Chandra Bose opines the past of Hardika is presented through the eyes of a 15-year-old girl, Daksha. The Kali poignantly presents Hardika's longing for liberty and its restraint, and a question for self and faith in the Hindu tradition and violence in the streets of Husanabad in Gujarat. Her experience makes her argue with Smita that one cannot take their liberty. She is sarcastic in saying that she was also lucky to go whatever she wanted and speak whatever she thought. So Daksha's longing for freedom at a young age has not faded even after she became a grandmother. Her conversation with her grandmother is as follows. Hardika, I hope you have the same freedom in your own house as you have heard here, Smita. I think one can create one's own freedom. wherever one may be. Hardika, you are also very foolish. Smita, foolish? Hardika, to think you can create your freedom. Smita, well, I suppose they could beat me up and lock me in a room. Pause. Hardika, yes, they could. Smita, you're right that they could. You're not wrong. Smita, you are right. I'm lucky I can say what I feel. Go where I want to. Choose my own friends. Hardika, yes. So you see from this conversation with the granddaughter how Daksha's longing for freedom at a young age has not faded even after she became a grandmother. Another point of discussion in this topic is exploitation of innocence. Children are innocent and fragile at a young age, so handling them will be very easy. They grow a kind of fear for the elders and believe in whatever they say. It is obvious from Daksha, even after 40 years of her marriage, she develops hatred towards the Muslim friend, Zarina, by believing the made up story by her husband and in laws. Daksha's family burned Zarina's shop to conquer their little shop for half of its value. When Daksha wanted to offer a loan to do their business, Hari became violent and abused her verbally that she could not utter those words to the readers. She says, she says that is when, for the first time, Hari became angry with me. I never expected him to. He shouted so loudly and he sounded just like war. And he called me names, names that are too shameful to mention you. My cheeks went red. So she was made to believe in an opposite story that Zarina's family had communal hatred and were prejudiced of accepting the offers. Even though Daksha was not happy in a married life, she often tried to please her husband and family. So she believes Zarina's rude behavior is the result of her communal prejudice until she becomes to know how the truth from her son Ramnik in her old age. So the episode of Daksha and Zarina shows her innocence in childhood, vulnerability which believe in the elders, are helpless to defend their words. The elders always ruled, controlled, and so they ought to be believed even though they were not accepted. That is how Dasani prepares us for such a situation. Premature marriages and the importance, analysis which I have put before you. These problems are even today seen everywhere around India. Wherever you go, this problem will prevail. So you cannot stop it at one go. You cannot say that from today this problem will not be there. The conflict between two cultures will be there. And this conflict of culture brings about all of the conflicts into the novel. The social reality, this is a type of social reality that I have found in the story itself. Social criticism. Now, from here onward, we will have to say that what we learn about